What's going on, everybody? It is Juan from Raven Drone Solutions. In today's video, I'm going to be talking to you about getting into legal trouble as a drone operator. If that sounds interesting, stay tuned. One of the many things you have to understand is that legal trouble does not always entail the FAA. Really, as a matter of fact, one of the biggest things that I've seen in really the year that I've been doing this is a lot of times the FAA is not really my biggest issue. A lot of times my biggest issue is actually people, the customer. So this kind of brings me to my next point, and that is the fact that many times the legal trouble stems from the company or person that contracted you. So a lot of times what this looks like is you get a job offer, they say, hey, listen, we need you to do X, Y, and Z, and then turns out what they're telling you to do isn't necessarily legal, or it's kind of like in a legal gray area, or sometimes they'll tell you, look, we need you to tailgate into a gated community or something like that. Or, my favorite, don't let the tenant see you. I mean, even if it's not technically illegal to be taking pictures of a house without the tenant seeing you, still it's something that you might want to think twice before you do it. So definitely that is one of the many things you have to understand, is that you have to be very careful with who hires you, because sometimes some of these companies or people, they don't really care. They just want the job done. And if somebody else takes a fall, they don't really care because they made the money. So you have to be very careful. And a lot of times, if you don't sign some kind of contract, well, there's deniability. So if there's nothing that links them to you, well, then you're the one taking the fall, not them. So keep that in mind. Another thing is, many people, including pilots, do not read their contracts. Make sure that whenever you get a contract, you read that in its entirety, because I've made this mistake a couple times already, and it was just a small detail. But the fact is that small detail almost got me into quite a bit of trouble. Like one time, I posted something on Facebook, and I just said, look at the work that I did, and it was of a cell tower. Okay, and I put the 3D model that we made. I didn't even say where it was, what company I was flying with, or anything like that. And I got a pretty stern message like a day later saying, you need to take this down because you have a non-disclosure agreement. You can't be posting this kind of stuff. So yeah, just don't do it again. So I mean, yeah, there I learned very, very quickly to not be posting stuff that I shouldn't be posting, or at the very least ask. But definitely read your contracts, because it'll give you the guidelines there, and every customer is going to be different. Some customers do not like you to post your stuff. Other people don't really care. Usually whenever I post something, it's already been approved ahead of time, where the customer is like, okay, listen, I get it. You want this for your portfolio. You want to market yourself. Cool, no problem. Just don't put our address, or don't put the customer name, or whatever the case might be. So just make sure you read your contracts before you post or really do anything. So my next point, which is kind of bringing it back to a little bit of what I talked about in the previous one, and that is, make sure you ask. Okay, if something doesn't sound right or you have questions, make sure to ask. It's better to ask a stupid question than make a stupid mistake. All right, that's one thing I tell myself all the time. I ask every dumb question in the book, because for me, I want to know that whatever I'm doing, I'm operating within the right parameters, and I'm not going to end up with an angry knock on my door, or I'm not going to end up with some lawsuit, and I don't even know what happened, and then turns out, oh, actually, no, I was at fault, and now I got to pay damages, or whatever the case might be. Don't want to be doing that. So just make sure that if something doesn't seem right, or maybe sound a little bit too good to be true, or maybe, it's just make sure you read, make sure you ask. A lot of times, let me tell you, people will make a job posting, they'll say they want something done, and what they're asking you to do isn't necessarily correct. You as a drone pilot and as a professional, you're the one that in a way has to educate the customer, saying, look, I'll do X, Y, and Z, but this that you're asking me to do isn't right. We need to revise this, we need to change it, whatever the case might be. But make sure that you're the subject matter expert in this field, because let me tell you, people will push your buttons, people will try to push the envelope, And like I said, it's not them that takes the fall, it is you. So just keep that in mind. Don't do anything that is illegal. Should go without saying, but let me tell you, it happens all the time, and I've heard of many pilots doing a lot of very shady stuff that they shouldn't be doing. And like I said, this is going to come down on you, not them. Okay, I was asked, like I said, on several occasions, I was asked to tailgate into a gated community. You know, the operations manager, which I'm not going to call her name, or the company, it's one of the big drone jobbing companies that a lot of people talk crap about. So if you've been in the drone industry, you probably know which one I'm talking about. But anyway, this lady told me, look, why don't you just tailgate it to the gated community, just take the pictures and leave. You know, why are you making such a big deal out of it? I'm like, well, because if something happens, if somebody finds out about it, you know, it's all on CCTV camera, whatever the case might be. I don't want to risk myself. I don't want to risk my business, and I don't want to risk a lawsuit for, especially for what I'm getting paid, which was almost nothing. So just, you got to push back at times, because people will try to test you. They will try to push your buttons. They will try to test the envelope, and it's just, if you don't put your foot down, people will walk all over you. There's been other times where we've been told, hey, go to this house, take the pictures, and just leave. I'm like, well, no, I'm not doing that. There's actually been times where I've been on an actual job, like for real estate or whatever the case might be. I'm flying my drone around, and I'm not doing anything that is illegal. But a neighbor thought I was spying on her, and she started yelling at me and all these other things. And I just simply told her, ma'am, look, I'm not taking pictures of your property. I'm actually taking pictures of this one. If you have any questions, please let me land, and I'll answer, and I'll be more than happy to answer. But bottom line, she wasn't happy. So if a neighbor isn't happy about you flying a drone in proximity of their property, imagine when you're flying directly over somebody's property, or you're, you know, over a commercial property, whatever the case might be. Just make sure that you have the authorization, and if somebody's telling you to do something shady, don't do it. I'm going to go over NDAs and non-compete agreements very, very briefly. So these are things that a lot of people end up having to sign whenever you're with a company. You know, if they don't want their stuff to be put out there, or if they want to be the ones that, obviously they don't want to screw up their business because they know you're just a contractor, many times they'll have you sign a non-compete. I had to do it, and it was probably the worst mistake I could have made, because even though it's not a certain industry that I necessarily like, because there's not a lot of money in it, the fact is, it would be supplemental income, and it might even be good, because I've actually done enough of it where I actually became quite good at it. But anyway, this company that I was working with, they wanted me to sign a non-compete. At first I said fine, because I wasn't really trying to do that niche anyway, but seeing as I got good at it, and not only that, but what I was being paid wasn't really that good. In reality, real estate, for many, not real estate, something else, but it's a race to the bottom, and you got to be very careful. You know, because if not, you're just going to go out of business. But anyway, you know, this company wanted me to sign a non-compete, and it's not like they were paying me enough for me to actually be able to live off of it. So I thought it was kind of BS, and I tried to fight them on it. They said no. Anyway, I left that company, but the fact that I have that non-compete still like looms high over my head. So there's only certain things that I can do in that specific niche, but there's a lot of things I can't do, and it's because of this non-compete. So just make sure that if you don't agree to something, or if something just does not seem fair, ask, push back a little bit. I should have done that. I was brand new to the drone industry, so I just wanted to start getting some experience, some flight hours. I wanted to start getting better, and unfortunately, it really screwed me over. You know, regardless of all that, doesn't matter. You know, I'm doing other things anyway, but the fact that I have that non-compete really limits me. NDAs, like I said, you just got to be very careful, because certain things, if somebody finds out about it, it can come down on you very bad. So just make sure you read your non-disclosure agreements. Already in the year that I've been in the drone industry, I've probably had to sign about 3 or 4 of these. And it's not like I've worked with too many companies anyway, but the fact that some of these people, they want to keep their trademark secrets and everything very, very close. So just be aware of that. Many people don't ask what they're allowed and not allowed to post. And this is the thing, is that whenever you're starting a business, whenever you're running a business, obviously you want to put as much of your information out there. You want to put your work out there because you want people to see everything that you're doing. You want to advertise yourself. You want to say, hey, listen, I'm able to do all these things, and fantastic. But as I said, especially with non-competes and all that stuff, be very careful what you post. Make sure to ask. Make sure to. I mean, I know the saying goes, it's better to ask for forgiveness than ask for permission. But in some cases, really, it's better to ask for permission instead of forgiveness, because this can come down really bad, especially if we're talking big companies. Yeah, a lot of times they're not going to be very likely to be forgiving, and a lot of times they'll just say, all right, look, that's it, you're off. Like, you're not working with us anymore. And that hurts you in the process. So just make sure before you post anything, just ask, because it could save you a big headache in the future. The last thing, and this really goes without saying, is that legal trouble is expensive and it's a major headache. And sometimes it's over things that could have been easily prevented, easily avoided. So yeah, you don't want to be doing that. Just like I said, just make sure, ask, do whatever you got to do. But the worst thing you could possibly do is to get into legal trouble over something so stupid and something that could have been prevented. You know, one thing you have to understand, especially here in the U.S., unfortunately, people love to sue for the dumbest reasons. Okay, everybody wants a piece of your action. I've not seen this in like any of the other countries that I've been to. We're the biggest Karens when it comes to a lot of these things, and yeah, this is it's like sometimes it can be like a minefield. So just try not to get into legal trouble, because I'm telling you, it's not worth it, especially when you're just like me, you're just starting out. You know, you count every penny you make, because you need to keep your operations going. The last thing you want to be doing is spending thousands, and I mean thousands, on legal fees, on attorneys, and all these other things. Or if you just decide to make a settlement, well, still, it's not going to be cheap for you. So just, yeah, it's not something you want to get into, so tread very carefully. Alright guys, so that is it for today. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Hit me one of these and subscribe down below. Please chime into the conversation. Has anybody ever run into any kind of legal issues while they've been a drone service provider? Please share, help the conversation. Is there anything I missed? Please chime into the conversation. I'd be more than happy to continue this in the comments. But yeah, anyway, that is it for today. See you next time.